Hey guys, it's July 23rd. I believe that's a Tuesday. And I'm going to go ahead and run over the stacks I like, the pitchers I like, and the sports bets I like in one video. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first stack I like is the Dodgers. They're minus 185 at home, implied team run total of 5.4. 97% of the money's on the over. And they've won 3 straight, 7-3 in their last 10 games. In our last 10 power rankings here, you can see they've got the top overall ranking. Over the last 7 days, they're scoring 7 runs a game and hitting 252 as a team. And the stack price isn't bad. Around 44 to 4,700, you can get a good 5-man stack in there. They're facing off against Felix Pena, or Pina, however you say that. Fuck, I don't know. He's not a bad pitcher. 4.92 ERA, 4.34 xFIP, 224 average. He's decent. But the reason I'm going here, as you can see in the purple, the Dodgers hitters are at a 91.94. So, I mean, they're just, you see all these red grades. Anything over 90, maybe it's 90, 91, it falls into this red grade, which is kind of the top tier. But you can see Bellinger's at 15.2 fantasy points per game the last week, 12.1 over the last 2 weeks, has a ceiling in the last 2 weeks of almost 40. Muncy, same thing, 15.5, 11.6. And up here you can see on our cheat sheet, our best possible 5-man stack would be your 1, 3, 4, 5, and 6 hitters. So that's going to be Jock, Turner, Bellinger, Muncy, and Seager. That's your best 5-man stack there. Let's scroll up and look at the next one. The next one I like is Houston, and that is game number 10. So let's scroll up here to game number 10. There you are. Houston's at home, minus 155. They are 37-14 at home with a very low 18.3% strikeout rate. They come in as third in our last 10-game power rankings. They're scoring 6.4 runs per game over the last 7 days and hitting 303 as a team. And they get to face Mike Fiers, who's been up and down. He's got a low swinging strike rate of only 8.7%. He has a nice 3.64 ERA, but his xFIP is 5.36. So that indicates that he's been pretty lucky with the balls in play, and that his ERA should be closer to 5 or just over 5. Now his split on the road, he's got a 4.94 ERA on the road and 2.58 at home. So it looks like he's much worse on the road, but his xFIP is about the same, 5.19 and 5.50, so nothing scary there. And Houston's been red hot recently. Their team implied run total, you can see up here, is 5.4, and the line is moved from 150 to 155. And the best possible stack we have here would be, and again, this lineup is pending, it is not confirmed, is 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's going to be Springer, Bregman, Brantley, Jordan, and Yuli on there. And you can see Brantley's been on fire recently. BVP, not too bad, kind of middle of the road. They're 21 for 80 with only 9 strikeouts versus Fiers hitting 263. The low 11% strikeout rate tells me they're going to hit the ball a lot on him. 80 team at-bats is pretty good, given 46 of them are coming from 2 hitters. But either way, Houston's another stack that we like. It may be kind of chalky since they've got a team implied total of 5.2. The third stack I like, which is kind of ugly, is Miami. Now, no one feels good about stacking a Miami team. Their team implied run total is only 4.6, but they're cheap. They are dirt cheap. You can take the 5 highest priced hitters, and it's barely $4,000 average per hitter. Now, they have lost 4 games in a row, 3-7 in their last 10, so we're not excited about that. They're only hitting 208 as a team over the last week and scoring 3.7 runs per game. So why do we like them? Well, they're facing Dylan Covey. There's not a lot of BVP against him. He's got a low 6.9% strikeout rate, and then he's got a 5.83 ERA, 6.12 xFIP, and he's allowing just shy of a 270 average and 1.6 WHIP. And the White Sox have the dead last bullpen over the last 5 weeks. So if Miami can't hit Covey, they should be able to get some runs in the bullpen. Again, this is cheap. This is only a stack you want to use 1 in a GPP. And 2, if you get 2 stud pitchers that you absolutely love, I'll drop down and find a cheap stack. This is probably the one I would go to. You can take the 2 to 6 highest priced hitters for about $3,800. And who knows, every once in a while they've got a game where they'll put up 7-8 runs on the board. They just haven't done it recently, so it is a little bit of a scary stack. If you're putting in a bunch of lineups, only do one or two with Miami, but it's worth a shot. The third stack I like. No, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fourth stack I like is the New York Yankees. Surprise. Their team implied run total is 5.2. They're facing Minnesota. They are on the road. You can see the Yankees on the road have a 121 WRC plus and 129 at home, so they're pretty much holding steady in that 120 to 130 range. Versus right-handed pitching, they're 128.2, so they're still sitting in that 120, 130 range. Their strikeout rate's a little higher than average, especially on the road. They've lost 2 games in a row, and they're 6-4 in their last 10. Now, the reason we like them is I was shocked. I went over here to look at their prices, and if you take the 5 highest priced guys, it's about 4,800 average. Then you can kick off the top one and get down to 46, 44.80, and even 43.60. Now, the last 7 days, they've been scoring 6.9 runs per game and hitting 286 as a team, and their last 10-game power ranking, they sit at 7th. A game that has an over-under of 10, and they're facing Kyle Gibson, that's a good shot for a stack. The Yankees can blow up for 10 runs almost at any time. Now, our 5 best stack combo here is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 7. So that's going to be DJ LeMahieu, Judge, Hicks, E5, and then dropping down and taking Voit. Again, this lineup is pending. It's not confirmed. The BVP here, they're only hitting 267 through 86 at-bats, so that's not real great. And then Minnesota supports the 4th-ranked bullpen, so there are a few red flags there. However, if I'm going to side on something that's a coin flip, I'd rather go with the Yankees over Kyle Gibson as a dominant pitcher. Although his home numbers have been pretty decent, he does have a 3.71 ERA, 3.66 xFIP with a 101 whip, allowing a 210 average. So that's pretty solid at home, but again, I'll take a shot on the Yankees any day of the week, especially when I can get him around 4,600 and get a 5-man stack in. The next one I like, and this is probably my favorite one, is Cleveland. And for some reason, I can never get them right. So we've got Cleveland as a minus 174 fave on the road. On the road, they're 26-20. They have a WRC plus of 119.2 and a low 19.1% strikeout rate. You can see all the green here. This shows that they're better on the road than they are at home. So I look into the numbers, and they're pretty much about the same. There's nothing there that's going to jump off at me. They've won 2 straight. They're 8-2 in their last 10, 15-5 over the last 20, so they've recently caught fire. They've scored 6.1 runs per game over the last 7 days, and they're hitting 296 over the last week, and they come in 11th in our last 10-game power rankings. And you can see a lot of the Vegas money is on Cleveland. There's 93% of the money on the side, 89% of the money on the run line. Our best stack here is the 1, 2, 3, 5, and 9 hitters. So you've got Lindor, Mercado, Santana, and then we drop down to Ramirez, and then Naquin. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm not even going to fucking try. So we're just going to go with that. Again, this lineup is pending. The lineup has recently been confirmed, but I haven't updated this up. Now you can see Aaron Sanchez here. He does have a 6.26 ERA, 5.41 xFIP, and he's allowing a 293 average. And the hitters for Cleveland are only 11 for 52. However, 52 is not a ton of at-bats, and they've been hot recently, so I'm going to go with that. If you want to save a little money, you can kick out Oscar, who's up to $5,000, which is ridiculous. But, I mean, you can go Lindor, Santana, Ramirez, and pop in a couple other guys and get around 44, 4,500 for your stack, because everybody else on the bottom end of the lineup is very inexpensive. And scoring 6.1 runs per game over the last week, that's pretty solid. What else do we got here? The last stack I like is Arizona, and that is game 12. So let me slide down here to game 12. So Arizona's a minus 185 favorite at home. They typically play worse at home, which is kind of scary. They've been red hot on the road, but you can see these numbers here in the red under differ. Their WRC plus drops from 102 to 87. Their WOBA from 331 to 313, etc., etc. And then, but their strikeout rate at home is down to 17.1%. So that's pretty good. They have a team implied total of about 5.1 runs. And you can see most of the Vegas money here is on the Arizona side, with 91% of the money on the side, 96% on the run line. Their last 10-game power ranking, they come in 9th, scoring 7.4 runs per game and batting .302 over the last week. Our best stack for the Diamondbacks is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 hitter. So Dyson Marte, Eduardo, Walker, and then drop down and take Lamb. And you can see their grade last 7-day stats, WOBA and WRC plus versus pitcher hand. And they get to face Dylan Bundy, who's been decent. I mean, he's not terrible. He's about a 5 ERA pitcher, and he's allowing about a 260 batting average, which is decent, but I'm banking on the Arizona hitters getting hot in this contest. The over-under is 9. It hadn't moved. The money's split on each side. So taking a shot here. And then they get the 22nd ranked bullpen after Bundy comes out of the game. So those are the stacks I like. Just to recap, we've got Dodgers, Astros, Yankees, Indians, Diamondbacks, and Miami. And I'll probably do 2 or 3 lineups with each one of them. Now I want to take a look at the pitchers real quick. So let's jump up here. So the first pitcher that caught my eye, game 10, is going to be Wade Miley at home. So Wade Miley right here throwing for the Houston Astros is only $8,000. He has a 10.4% swinging strike rate. And then you can see his totals. He's got a 3.25 ERA, which is solid. And now his xFIP is 4.42. So he's been a little lucky. It should be a little higher. However, he is holding a 1.13 whip and allowing a 220 average. And those numbers when he's pitching at home right here get slightly better. So at home, he's got a 1.86 ERA and a .99 whip, allowing a 199 batting average. So that's good. They're one of the games that I have for a possible bet tonight. And at 8,000, he's one of the pitchers that I do like. The next one is going to be Aaron Nola, and that's game number 6. Let me pull him up. So Nola, he's been a little bit up and down this year, but my God, he's facing the Detroit Tigers. Their team implied run total is only 3.7. They're 2-8 in their last 10 games. They're batting .218 over the last week and only scoring 2.5 runs per game, and their last 10 game power ranking is 28th. He couldn't ask for a better matchup. Now he is 10-1 on DK, and this is a confirmed lineup, but my word, Detroit's absolutely god-awful. If he can't do it tonight, I don't think he's ever going to get a chance to do it again. He supports a 3.77 ERA with a 3.97 xFIP, so that's really good. WOBA 309 has a nice K9 rate of 10.2, and he's allowing a 238 batting average, and no big split there. His ERA moves a little bit, but his xFIP indicates it should be a lot closer, so he's allowing about a 240, 245 batting average overall and on the road, and it's a game they should win. Philly came out at a -140 favorite, and it's moved to -150 now, and 83% of the money is on Philadelphia, so I don't mind Nola here at 10-1 going up against a terrible Detroit team. The other one I like is a little bit cheaper, and that is Merrill Kelly, and he is throwing for Arizona, and he is only $7,300. So I want these pitchers that can get a floor of about 2x and get 3x or higher for a ceiling, and he's decent for a $7,300 pitcher. He's got a 10.5% swinging strike rate, and his home ERA is at 2.83, which is much lower than his 3.77 overall. So the way his split sets up, he's got a 3.77 ERA, 2.83 at home where he is today, and 4.68 on the road. So you could say he's a little better on the road, or I'm sorry, a little better at home than he is on the road. Now his xFIP also the same. It's a 3.65 at home and a 5.67 on the road. So he's much better at home. At home he allows a 1.01 whip and a 240 batting average. And he gets to go up against Baltimore, who has an implied total of 3.9 runs. Now they have been decent over the last week, scoring about 5.8 runs per game and hitting .302 as a team, but again, this is Baltimore. They're garbage. So I'm going to roll out Kelly in some lineups at 7,300. That's not a bad shot. The next pitcher I like is Mad Bum, and I believe he's the next game down. So San Francisco's in a bit of a pickle because they were sellers, but now they're 1 or 2 games out of the wild card spot, so they've got to decide if they're going to go for it or if they're going to start moving pieces. And if they keep winning games, it's putting a lot of pressure on the coach. So Mad Bum, I don't know what's going to happen with him, if he's going to get traded or if they're going to take a shot at this wild card and see if they can squeak in there, because Mad Bum is excellent in the playoffs. So I like him tonight. The game's pretty much a coin flip. They're plus 102 right now, or on the latest run of the sheet they were. 87% of the money's on the San Francisco run line. If you want to throw a stack out there, it's against Darvish. San Francisco's been red hot lately, 9-1 in their last 10 games, 16-4 in their last 20, and they've won 2 straight. That's pretty ridiculous for a team that wasn't planning on doing anything this year. So the reason I like Mad Bum, he's 9,000, so he's not as cheap as Kelly at 7,300, but he's not as expensive as Nola at 10-1. So 9,000 is a fair price to use one of your pitchers on DK, especially when you get 2. And his swinging strike rate's almost 12%, and he's got a 3.65 ERA, 3.98 xFIP, a solid K9 ratio of 9.1. And he's allowing between a 236 and 256 average. So he allows a 256 batting average overall and 236 at home. So he's slightly better at home. His ERA is 3.3 versus 4.15 on the road, and he's been really solid as of late. And then San Francisco, they also support the number 5 bullpen once he comes out of the game. So if they can get a lead, they should be able to hold that for a win. And the Cubs have lost 2 straight. So, and Darvish has been up and down. Another thing that I like, you can see right here, it says pitcher advanced BVP history. So if they have at least 40 or 50 at-bats and the batting average is below 220, this little box pops up to kind of let me know. So Cubs hitters have 50 at-bats against Mad Bum. They only have 10 hits, so they're batting 200. And they have a 36% strikeout rate. So that's massive for Mad Bum. So I may even look at what his strikeout total is on a sports bet. So let's go ahead and get to the last pitcher I like is Chris Paddock. So Paddock started off red hot, fell apart, went back to AAA, and now he's got 3 hot starts. And he is, where'd we go here? So he's a minus 140 favorite on the road. Solid numbers, 2.7 ERA, ERA of 3 on the road, 2.36 at home. xFIP around 3.9 to 4.4. And this is what I really like over here. His batting average allowed is 196 to lefties, 170 to righties, and he's allowing a 183 batting average overall and a 198 at home. So a sub 200 batting average across the board. Lefties, righties, at home, road, whatever it is, that's solid. So for 10-3, if you don't want to go Nola, I may do some Paddock for my expensive guys there. I really like him. And he's going up against the Mets. BVP, only 18 at-bats. They're 3 for 18 for 167. And they're striking out a massive 39% of the time. But again, if there's not 40 or 50 at-bats, I take it with a grain of salt and throw it out the window. And this is a confirmed lineup, so he should be a pretty solid play today. So again, to recap the pitchers I like on the high end, we have Nola and Paddock, if I'm even pronouncing that right. And then you want to step down, we got Mad Bum, Miley, and Merrill Kelly. And I don't mind going down. There was a 4,600 guy that I didn't mind. Let me find him real quick. I think it's Peter Lambert. Yeah, Peter Lambert. He's only 4,600. Let me find that game. And if you just want to absolutely punt, okay, here he is. 4,600 bucks for Lambert. Now his numbers versus lefties are awful. Versus righties, they're decent, not great. He does have an ERA of 6, but a ERA of 3 on the road. Now, that's only 12 innings, so take it with a grain of salt. But his xFIP on the road is a 3.7 with a 285 WOBO, 108 WHIP, and 244 average. That's pretty solid, especially for a pitcher that's 4,600 bucks. And then his recent game, he's coming off a 12-point performance against San Francisco where he went 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 Ks, no walks. So, I mean, that's almost 3x value his salary. And then he struggled against playing the, Astros, Dodgers, and Dodgers again. So I'm going to give him a break there because those lineups are ridiculous. But he had a 32.75 point game against the Cubs on June 6th. So he's got massive upside if you just want to put a pitcher in there, punt, and go with your hitters. He's probably the one I like the best. And then let me scroll up here and see. Other ones I looked at were Domingo German, Darvish, Mayetta. I couldn't believe he was only 7,800, but he hasn't really done anything recently. Paddock's last 3 games have been 34, 22, and 29 DK points, and he's only given up 1, 0, and 1 earned runs in those 3 starts and put up 8, 6, and 8 strikeouts. So, and that's again, one of those was against the Dodgers at LA. So that's pretty good. He's running back into form after having 4 rough starts, but he's got 40-point upside, which on May 6th he threw a 40-point game against the Mets, went 7.2 for 11K, so I really like Paddock. So my mix is probably going to be like Paddock Miley, Nola Miley, then I'll do like Paddock Kelly, Mad Bum Kelly, Mad Bum Miley. I'll kind of mix and match those pitchers, and then I'll pull off our best stacks up here once I refresh the sheet. So that's what I like for DFS. Now for sports betting. So, man, these damn videos go longer than I always expect. So let me scroll back up here. So one of the games I like, my underdog play of the day, is the Kansas City Royals. I think this line is just too big, but again, I live in Kansas City and I can't get these people right to save my life. So I'm a fan. I'll always be a Chiefs fan and a Royals fan, but Kansas City at plus 200. So here's what's jumping out at me. The last 10 game power rankings, we got 16 versus 18. Now Kansas City on the road, they do drop from 117 to 80 on their WRC plus. Their power drops, their strikeout rate goes up dramatically, but they're still 7-3 in their last 10 games, which isn't terrible. They're scoring 5.7 runs per game versus only 3.8 for Atlanta, and they're hitting 307 as a team versus only 255 for Atlanta. And then the pitchers, Keuchel, he isn't anything amazing. I mean, he's got a low swinging strike rate, doesn't have a lot of stats this year. His xFIP is basically 4.5 and allowing about a 260, 265 average. And Kansas City's faced Keuchel 41 times, and they're hitting 317 off of him. That's pretty decent for a team that's getting plus 200. And the money looks like it's all coming in on Atlanta, which betting public usually takes the favorites. You're looking at minus 210, it's out to minus 220, and 89% of the money is on the side, but I think that line's too big. Duffy's throwing, and he's got an xFIP of about 5, ERA of 4.5. On the road, 270 batting average. I mean, nothing phenomenal. Atlanta could get to this game and blow it out, but I just think, putting some pizza money on this thing at plus 200 or mixing it in with another game you like, that could give you a huge turnout in a parlay that you want. So Kansas City is one of the ones I'm eyeballing. The other one is the New York Yankees run line, and that is, where'd that game go? Number 9. So the reason I like the New York Yankees is, I went way past that. So the New York Yankees, they're only minus 120 right now at Minnesota. Minnesota's starting to pick it up. They've won 2 games in a row. And last 10 power rankings, we're looking at 7 versus 17. Batting average last 7 days, 286 versus 267. Runs per game, 6.9 versus 4.9. And the Yankees, they either lose the game or they win the game by 7 runs. So if you can get an alternate run line of minus 2.5, I would probably look at that as well. And then up here on this Vegas trends, you can see the Yankees as a favorite. The run line is 48-33. That's pretty darn good. Records 57-24, and so you see they're winning a lot of games. And then as a road team, the run line's 23-19 and 28. The over's 28-12. So they can score some runs. Now you can see their strikeout rate does go up quite a bit, and basically they either shit the bed or they score 10 runs. So if you're going to bet it, I don't like the 120, but I love the run line because it's going to be plus big money. And then down here they're facing Kyle Gibson, which they're hitting about 270 off of him, which is decent. I mean, Gibson isn't a stud, and we talked about this on the stack side. But then you over here for New York, you've got Domingo German, whatever they call it. I've heard it say 2 different things. He's got a massive swinging strike rate of 15.2%. I don't mind him in DFS either. And, I mean, he's got a 3.38 ERA, 3.9 xFIP, and he's allowing a 213 batting average, and even on the road, a 229 batting average, and they've got the number 2 bullpen behind him. I mean, how do you not like Yankees run line? It's got to be plus 130, plus 140. I didn't write it down, but anyways, it's going to be plus money. And I could even take Yankees run line, put it with the Royals, and get a huge payout for a little risk there. The next 2, I like Houston and Cleveland, but they're both a little bit more than what I want to spend on a single game. I don't want to lay 155, so I would probably parlay these 2 games together, put Houston and Cleveland in just a basic 2-team parlay. So let's look at those two. So Houston opened at 150. They're minus 155 now. Money's pretty much split 57-43, so it could go either way. Houston's won 6 games in a row, 15-5 in their last 20. Last 10 power rankings, number 3 versus number 6. So it's a good matchup. But what I like down here is Wade Miley. He's got great BVP numbers versus Oakland. Through 81 at-bats, they're only hitting 185 against him. So that's really good for Wade Miley. And at home, look at these splits. So overall, he's got a 3.25 ERA. At home, it's a low 1.86 with a 4.27 on the road. So that's solid. Now his xFIP indicates it's not that far of a reach, but it's still a 3.7 xFIP at home. I mean, that's a solid pitcher. And he's allowing a .99 whip and then 199 batting average at home with great BVP, great home numbers, good bullpen behind him. I like the Astros tonight. And Oakland, they've lost 2 straight. And you can see at home, Oakland's a rock star. Their WRC plus is 143.9, but on the road it drops 50 points down to 96.2. 100 is league average, so they're still league average. They're not bad by any means, but I like Houston here. I mean, Houston bats have been red hot. I mean, you've got a solid stack over here. Fires, this guy's a trash can. I mean, he throws a good game and then a garbage game. I just think the Houston hitters are too much for him. And then to go with that, I like Cleveland. So if you parlay those two, you can even out the money. I don't like laying a lot of money for a little win. I like laying a little money for a lot of win. So Cleveland 174, so you can take the Houston 155, Cleveland 174, put it together, get a pretty solid return or something closer to even money. Cleveland, 6.1 runs per game last week, batting 296 as a team, are facing Toronto, who's absolutely terrible. However, they have managed to climb up to number 15 in the last 10 game power rankings and score about 5.5 runs per game while hitting 243, so not terrible. But you've got Aaron Sanchez with a 9% swinging strike rate going. He's got a 6.26 ERA and a 175 whip with a 293 allowed batting average. He's a little better at home, but that's still an xFIP over 5 at home with a WOBA over 350 and allowing a 272 batting average. So he's got good BVP against Cleveland, but I think Cleveland's just in another zone right now. I mean, 8-2 last 10, 15-5 last 20, won 2 straight. They got solid numbers on the road, low strikeout rates, so I think they're going to be a solid bet tonight. And then you've got Trevor Bauer throwing for him, so he's not my favorite pitcher by any means, but he can get the job done. And so Trevor Bauer going up against Toronto, he should be able to limit them enough for them to get the run. Now, Toronto does play much better at home. They've got a 126 WRC plus versus 99 on the road. But again, Toronto's hit and miss. So even if you wanted to go Cleveland run line here and say, okay, I'm going to take the game by 2 or I'm going to pass on it, I'm good with that. But Cleveland, Houston, they're games that I like, but they're kind of on the fence. I don't want to lay all that juice, but I would put them together for a parlay for a bet. Another one that I like is the Seattle run line, and I never in a million years thought I would have the Seattle game down. So let's look at Seattle and Texas. So this is a late game at 10-10. Both teams are shit. You've got the last 10 power ranking. You got 27th versus 30th. Now, my play in the whole second half was to pick on Seattle, take the run line against them every single game because they're absolutely awful. The problem is, here at home, they've been pretty solid. You can see on the road their WRC plus is 66.7, but at home it jumps to 110. And then you can see their OBP plus ISO is 435 on the road, but it jumps to 505 at home. And their strikeout rate comes down a little bit. So they've been playing much better at home. They've won a game. There's no numbers in here that really stand out, but Texas has been just god-awful. Look at their strikeout rates. 30.5% on the road over the last 5 weeks. 28.9% versus lefties and 30.9% versus righties. They've lost 8 games in a row, 2-8 in their last 10. I mean, they just fell off the map. They were one of the hottest teams at one point. They're scoring 2.7 runs per game over the last week, and they're batting 196 as a team over the last 7 days. That is absolutely awful. And Malone, he's a serviceable pitcher. I I mean, he's nothing fancy, but I mean, he's allowing a 214 batting average, 235 at home, has an ERA sub 4. I mean, he can get the job done. And a 21st ranked bullpen behind him isn't great, but then you take Texas and they're rolling out Brett Martin. And I honestly, I don't know who this guy is, but I mean, he's got a 4.89 ERA, xFIP of about 3.8, but he doesn't have a lot of stats or innings, so I don't know a lot about him. He is allowing a 273 batting average overall, and then 340 on the road. And then they've got the 29th ranked bullpen over the last 5 weeks behind him. So I think a sneaky little bet here would be the Seattle run line. I don't want to lay the 126, although I understand why people would do it. But with both of these teams being a crapshoot and either one could get beat by 10, I think the Seattle run line is going to give you enough plus money where once you get the Yankees run line, the Seattle run line, and some of these other bets, you'll have enough plus money that you could win 40% of your games and still come up 2 or 3 units. Some other games that I like Arizona, mixing that in with something. So between Houston, Cleveland, and Arizona, I'm probably going to mix a couple of those in for a parlay. I like Merrill Kelly. We talked about him on the DFS portion. Bundy isn't great. And I like Arizona. They've been on fire the last week, but again, my fear is at home they tend to struggle a little bit. All the money's on Arizona. You can see 91% on the side, 96% on the run line. And then the other one I like, of course, is Boston. Let me find them. I just wrote down Boston. I didn't put down any notes. So Boston here is playing Tampa Bay, and you got Chris Sale that's thrown up against, well, Tampa Bay's relief pitcher game that they always play. But Tampa Bay against Chris Sale, they're only 4 for 30, so they're batting 133 with a 43% strikeout rate. So yeah, Sale's solid. I mean, he's been hit and miss. He's had some struggles this year. He's coming off of an outstanding game. I mean, he's allowing a 220 batting average. He's got an ERA over 4, but his xFIP is less than 3. So that shows that he's been pitching better than what his ERA indicates. Solid K9 ratio of 13.2. And I think 165 is just too low facing a Tampa Bay team. Now, a given, Boston has been on fire recently. I mean, they're scoring 6 runs a game. They're hitting 273 as a team over the last week. And then Tampa, they're reeling a little bit. They're 4-6 in their last 10, scoring only 2.4 runs per game over the last week and batting 196. And now they get to face Chris Sale. I think Boston's just too easy of a bet there. So, anyways, that's what we're gonna go with. Good luck, guys. Let me know if you like the video or if you prefer the articles. Thank you.